Good morning and welcome to New Mexico Rising. I'm Kayla and this is a show where we talk entertainment and lifestyle. We've got some local stories, helpful tips, and a few surprises along the way. This week we've got this.
It's a time to take a fresh look because we're entering into the end of the year.
Home isn't just this place, it's this person.
All that and more right here on a show we like to call New Mexico Rising.
A lot of action franchises try to go bigger every time, but Jack Ryan Ghost War is also digging into trust, loyalty, and what service really costs. The new film continues the world's fans already know while standing on its own for people jumping in fresh. And joining us today is the legendary Wendell Pierce, who returns as James Greer. Wendell, it's great to have you on the show, my friend. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, James Greer has always been one of the most grounded characters in this world. What do you enjoy most about stepping back into him for Ghost War?
The character of James Greer really reflects some of the people that I met doing the research of this character. You know, real CIA officers, retired, who have kind of given me their true north to form a more perfect union, and some of the debate that they have within the agency, and but understanding that the shared idealism of working on the mission, which is to form a more perfect union and protect that. You know, those are shared values, and so stepping back into the role, that's the thing that I'd love to portray. You know, as an actor, you're a student of human behavior. And what you want to do is create the world so strong that it induces that behavior. And that's the great thing about reliving a role like James Greer.
One thing John Krasinski mentioned is that the story works for both longtime fans and for people who've never watched the series. Was that something you felt like while you were making it too?
Oh, absolutely. You don't have to be familiar with the series at all. You can come to this fresh. You will see the history that we have as characters. You will see our relationship. You see our expertise, and then also you have this story of what's happening now, this casual act that I ask a favor of Jack Ryan to do for me that actually ignites a global espionage chase. And so it is one of those things that people who have seen the series can come to and appreciate the next level of where we take the characters, and people who come to this fresh and new. But what we do over the course of a series, put into a 2-hour movie, is just heightened and it makes it a lot more intense.
And you said it's been heightened, it's more cinematic, a little bigger, but it also keeps the political and moral tensions that Tom Clancy's stories are known for. What kind of balance does this film strike between action and some of the character?
Well, you know, I think it's very important. I'm very proud of the fact that we keep the debate happening about the clarity of mission and clarity of what values are, and the political debate that happens around that, because that is happening within the world, what happens within the agency, and it makes you, as the viewer, look at it and decide what your values are. You know, I mean, that's the forum of what filmmaking should be about, the place where we collectively come together, reflect on who we are, decide where we want to go, decide what our values are, maybe bring that into our lives. And so I love that we have that debate, and at the same time have some of the best cinematic thrill sequences of action comparable to the French Connection and Marathon Man and all of that, you know. So I'm very proud of the cinematic and the debate that happens within the film.
And fans, they know you from so many incredible roles from over the years, but there's something about Greer that people really connect with. What do you think keeps audiences invested in this character and this franchise?
I try to make James Greer a everyman. You know, that people look at it and go, there but by the grace of God go I. You know, that they can see themselves in James Greer. He's a man of pragmatism. He's a family man. He's flawed as he tries and did not succeed in keeping his family together. But with all of that, he is principled. And he attempts to hang on to his principles and values. And people will see themselves in that, you know. Not someone who's perfect, but someone who's pragmatic and at least tries to live by some sort of moral code. And that's who we all are, and that's who we are when we dream of who we can become. So that's the thing that makes him prescient, and personal. And that's what I pride myself on when I try to portray him.
Yeah, thanks for being here today. Jack Ryan, Ghost War premieres May 20th on Prime Video. Wendell Pierce, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Some mysteries stay hidden for decades, and sometimes even longer. A new season of Expedition Unknown follows explorer Josh Gates as he travels the world chasing lost civilizations, legendary treasures, and some of history's biggest unanswered questions. One of this season's most remarkable discoveries involves a long-lost World War II shipwreck connected to more than 1,000 missing Allied prisoners of war. Josh Gates joins us now. Welcome to the show, Josh. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
All right, you've spent years investigating mysteries around the world, but this season opens with the discovery of Hofuku Maru. What was it like to be part of a search that carried so much historical and emotional weight?
This is an amazing experience. I'm really excited for folks to see the season premiere. This ship is what's known as a hell ship. It's a part of World War II that myself, and I'm sure many people, really didn't know much about. These were prison ships that were used by the Japanese to transport Allied POWs around the Pacific. And we work with this incredible organization. These guys you see there on the screen, they're part of a group called the Hell Ships Memorial Foundation. These guys have spent years digging through archives, looking for clues as to the location of this ship, the Hofuku Maru. And after 80 years of being lost, their research has led to it being found. So for us to be able to take our viewers there and get a firsthand look at a ship where 1,000 POWs went down is a really emotional thing and a really thrilling expedition that a lot of hard work went into for these guys. And so I'm thrilled to feature their hard work on the show.
And that story of Japanese hell ships isn't really something many people learn about in school. What surprised you most as you dug into this chapter of World War II history?
Well, the scale of it. I mean, there were about 135 of these hell ships that transported, over 100,000 POWs during the war. And many of these ships were sadly bombed by U.S. forces. The Japanese disguised these ships within their military convoys, and so they became unintentional targets for the Allies, making this kind of a doubly tragic story. But the fact of the matter is there are thousands of these POWs still out there that have not been found. And so this is an opportunity to really fulfill that promise of no man left behind, right? And to go and search for them. They've been waiting all this time. So really shocking numbers of people that are still out there, and that there are still big discoveries like this to be made from World War II. So really exciting stuff.
And your team helped locate a wreck that had been lost for more than 80 years. Can you walk us through how modern technology and old archival research came together to make that discovery possible?
Yeah, so the real crux of the discovery is the good old-fashioned sleuthing that was done by this researcher, John Dureski, who's part of the Memorial Hell Ships Foundation. This guy went digging not just in the American archives, but in the Japanese archives. And it was the Japanese archives that offered a clue as to where this ship sank. Many people thought that it sank about 30 miles away from where it was found. Using that research, sonar survey was done. A wreck was located on sonar. We then went out and dove down to really get eyes on this wreck and to begin photogrammetry, which is a photography scan of the wreck to really see it from all angles and to kind of bring it back to life in a way. So yes, it's this combination of good old-fashioned detective work and some high-tech tools.
And this season also takes viewers from underwater wrecks to ancient civilizations, hidden tunnels, and lost treasures. Was there one adventure that pushed you furthest outside of your comfort zone?
Oh, I mean, we go to Mexico in this season searching for the story behind one of Mexico's oldest civilizations, the Zoque. They went way out into the jungles in the Chiapas region of Mexico. This is a really wild part of the Mexican interior and huge caves, huge cliffs. So going underground in Chiapas into the world of the Zoque was hugely demanding, but also just about as exciting as you can imagine. Going out into these caves that nobody has explored to find artifacts that have been sitting down there, offerings that have been sitting in the dark for centuries.
And after all these years of exploring the unknown, what keeps you chasing the next mystery, and what can viewers expect from this new season?
I think it's the same thing that had me interested in this when I was watching The Goonies as a kid. These stories are just naturally incredibly engaging. What kid doesn't dream of finding pirate treasure, secret tunnels, lost civilizations? These stories just have such a natural hook and they're real. This is real history. And so I think for me, I'm like a kid in a candy store out there, you know? The opportunity to go and explore these stories it is the thrill of a lifetime. And to share that with our viewers is really what it's all about.
And also, it looks like you're coming to town on January 10th. What can we expect to see over at Popejoy?
Yeah, so an evening of legends and mysteries and adventure. If you're a fan of the show, it's an opportunity to dig a little deeper, go behind the scenes. And if you're just finding the show, but you love adventure, and who doesn't, it's a chance to listen to some awesome myths and legends and stories. And so folks can get tickets to that at joshgates.com. It may not be listed yet. Those shows will be coming very soon onto the website there. But it will be an awesome evening of adventure for the whole family. So if you have kids that are into adventure, or if you grew up as a fan of Raiders and Goonies and all that stuff, it's going to be a super fun evening.
Josh Gates, I want to thank you for joining me today. For more information on Expedition Unknown, episode schedules, and behind-the-scenes content, visit discovery.com. And for tickets to Josh Gates' live show, visit joshgates.com. Josh, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Hey, thank you so much. Good to see you again.
Have you ever taken a dream opportunity only to realize something feels very wrong? That's the setup behind Strung, the new Peacock thriller from acclaimed filmmaker Malcolm D. Lee. The film follows a gifted violinist who becomes entangled in the world of a wealthy and mysterious family, where secrets seem to be hiding around pretty much every corner. Malcolm is the director behind favorites like The Best Man franchise and Girls Trip, and now he's taking audiences somewhere much darker. Malcolm, welcome.
Man, I love that intro. That was awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you for that. Strung starts with a talented musician getting what seems like the opportunity of lifetime. What drew you to the story and the tension at the center of it?
When I read Alan McElroy's script, I could not put it down. It just was a page turner. I was talking to it out loud. It was speaking to me. I was speaking back to it, and I just said I gotta dip my toe into this genre of thrillers and this erotic psychological thriller.
You've built a career directing comedies, dramas, and ensemble films that audiences really connect with. What was exciting about stepping into the thriller genre with Strung?
I think audiences still want to see these kinds of movies, and I love the opportunity to do something different and outside of my comfort zone. And not necessarily outside of my comfort zone, but something different that I hadn't done before. And it was nice to not have to cut to the joke, and just be able to tell the story with a different pacing, a different tone. And I want to challenge myself in that regard, get the right cast and get the right crew behind me. And this crew that I've been working with has been a crew that I've been with before and collaborated on many, many things. But to work with this cast was amazing as well.
Chloe Bailey carries so much of the story as Layla. What made her the right choice for this role, and what did she bring to the character?
Chloe, I hadn't worked with before, but I knew about her, and I thought she would be a great asset for this role. And when I saw her, and when we got to talking and we got to know each other a little bit more and work together, I was amazed by what she was able to do, because Layla has to do so many things in this movie and play so many different colors, from being emotional to being vulnerable to being sexy and maternal. And all kinds of colors that she had to play, that I was just like, wow, she really, really brought a lot to the table. And I'm very, very proud of the work that she did in this movie. She's really, really talented.
One of the things that makes this film work is the atmosphere and sense of there's something not quite right. How did you approach building that suspense without giving too much away?
Yeah, the thing is, everybody in this movie, every character in this movie is hiding something. It's most, emblematic by the little girl that she's tutoring, Zuri, with her actual mask. But everyone in this movie is masking something, whether it's trauma or grief or something to that effect. And I wanted to make sure that everything on the surface looked presentable and comely and beautiful and opulent. And so it started with the house. And you see this inviting environment that is a little antiseptic, but just like, oh, it's lush and it's beautiful. But underneath all of that, you find that there's some dark things.
And looking at your career, The Best Man, Girls Trip, and now Strung, what continues to inspire you as a storyteller, and what kinds of stories are you most interested in telling next?
Yeah, I am incredibly blessed to have the opportunity to get paid for what I love to do. And I want to keep challenging myself and bringing entertainment to audiences. That's the main thing. I like to have to entertain people and make them feel good, make them feel emotions one way or another. And in this case, we're taking them on a thrill ride. And in the future, I hope to do the same kinds of things. Whether it's with a thriller, whether it's a comedy or a musical or a drama. I love working with actors and bringing a vision to life for audiences to enjoy.
Malcolm, I want to thank you for joining me today. Strung is now streaming on Peacock. You can watch the film and learn more by visiting peacocktv.com. Malcolm D. Lee, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Dan.
So what would you do if someone from your past came back to turn your life upside down? That's the chilling idea behind Cape Fear, the new psychological thriller that's been keeping viewers on edge. Joining us today are Lily Collias and Malia Pyles, who play Natalie Bowden and Nevaeh Valentine in the series. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Hey, we're
Good.
How are
Happy
you?
to be here.
Very happy to be here.
Cape Fear is packed with suspense, but it's also very character-driven. What drew each of you to your characters?
I think the fluidity of her arc, for me personally, I think Natalie is the kind of girl who didn't ever have to second guess things in her life. And it was so interesting to play someone that I don't think it's calculated whatsoever, because the circumstances are so specific that playing with what she's feeling even on that day or that night, because she's just finding out new things every single day. It was just such a blessing.
Yeah. I love Natalie so much.
She loves Nevaeh.
I know. And we love each other.
What can we say?
I mean, with Nevaeh, it was similar where it's it was pretty obvious right off the bat that she's a deeply complex character. And I so value Nick, our showrunners and our creators, writing. I mean, just based off her name too, Nevaeh is literally heaven backwards. I was there's an immediacy to. I'm there's an attention to detail and a style to this show that's really intriguing to me. And I never had the opportunity to play a character that's so villainous at times. And I think that was such a cool person to be in step with for so many months.
Without giving anything away, your characters develop an interesting friendship. What was it like building that relationship together on set?
I mean, it's so easy because Malia as a person is someone that I connect with. I'm so grateful to call her one of my best friends now. We really had each other's backs, and we go through some intimate things together as characters, and the fact that we would be able to go home together and discuss and kind of just throw ideas to a wall together was just such a blessing, because at the end of the day, all we want to do is play. So it was just so fun to have that relationship with you.
Yeah, there was an immediacy there. I mean, we met in the car and we were just both completely vibrating with energy, and it was really easy to fall in love with these characters and then fall in love with her in a lot of ways. I mean, like she said, we'd go home from work after these crazy long days and watch movies together and then bring parts of those movies into work the next day and be hey, can we bring this to our characters? And so, I mean, it was in a lot of ways just a great lesson in trust and building something that feels at times greater than just the work you're putting out.
The series has such an incredible cast, including Javier Bardem, Amy Adams, Patrick Wilson. What did you learn from working alongside actors like that?
So much every single day. I think at the core of it is to put things that are genuinely important in your life first, and your artistry comes alongside with your life. And they were just always so grounded and humble with their ways of teaching. And I think Javier feels very almost dreamlike in his process, and Amy's super technical. Everyone just brought different things to the table, and I feel it all just mixed so well together.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing like doing a horror beat with Patrick Wilson when you get to be the creepy thing behind his shoulder. I'm I feel I'm in Insidious. It's so cool.
I love making this perfect, gorgeous man go through hell.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Cape Fear is streaming now on Apple TV with new episodes released every Friday. Malia, Lily, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Have you ever rooted for two characters to finally figure it out, even though life keeps getting in the way? That's a big part of what has fans coming back to Ransom Canyon. Season 2 picks up 6 months later, and with more questions about love, family, and what home really means. Joining us are the stars of the series, Josh Duhamel and Minka Kelly. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Season 2 picks up 6 months after the finale without giving anything away. Where do we find Staten and Quinn emotionally when we see them again?
Well, I think that, if I could take that one, my character is definitely ready to treat this relationship with the care that it deserves. Because I think he realizes after having these 6 months away, he realizes that he probably could have made more of an effort, probably could have done things differently, could have called, could have wrote, could have gone to see her, didn't do any of those things. And I think that he really wants to right the wrongs of, the past mistakes he's made in this relationship. And then he finds out very quickly after that she moved on, and it's too late, dude.
One of the big themes this season is choosing between the life you built and the life you dreamed about. Minka, what makes Quinn's decision so difficult this time around?
Well, she was in 6 months, in New York for 6 months, and, it's a little easier, out of sight, out of mind, to romanticize this new life that she could possibly live, and meets this new guy who on paper makes so much sense and says and does all the right things. And then she goes home as she'd always planned, and she's then faced with this new version of Staten that she's wanted from him her whole life. And it's a little too late. So now she's in this predicament of, do I turn my back on this new thing that feels fresh and new and potentially promising, or do I take the opportunity, this chance to fulfill this dream of hers, where she comes home, where she realizes that home isn't just this place, it's this person. And that just becomes so undeniable for her. And home is where the heart is.
And Josh, Staten has always been driven by protecting his family's legacy, but this season seems to put love more at the center of his journey. How does that change him?
Well, I think that the two kind of go hand in hand. The ranch has been so part of him and his family for so long that he sort of conflates the two. Like family, land, legacy are all kind of part of all he cares about, really. And when he loses, sorry, I took this hat from the set, I'm going to take it off. When he loses his family in season 1, he sort of loses his purpose and not really sure how he wants to go forward with the ranch. And I think that there's something happens along the way when, I think it's after she leaves, that he really realizes that he wants to share this with her. He doesn't want to go forward without having Quinn with him. And all of these things sort of come together to give him this purpose to keep going with the ranch and keep doing these things that he's done forever. And without her, there's not really much reason to keep doing it.
Also, the chemistry between the two of you has become one of the biggest reasons fans have embraced the show. What is it like continuing that relationship this season now that the stakes are even higher?
I think this season was really fun exploring this. It's a whole different sort of energy between the two of them. It's like she was gone and was able to just sort of, she went to play with the New York Phil and choose herself and live this new fun life out of sight, out of mind, and have some fun for a little while. And then she comes home to this new version of Staten where he's so light and charming and funny, and this is the love of her life. And so that new dynamic between them is really fun in season 2 to play with and to be genuinely charmed by. And so it's a big difference from season 1 and season 2 in that regard, I think, which is really fun.
Josh, Minka, I really want to thank you for hanging out with me today. Ransom Canyon Season 2 is now available to stream on Netflix. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Ever wonder if the latest wellness trends is actually helping or just getting a lot of attention online? August is National Wellness Month, and with health advice coming from social media, podcasts, and even AI, it can be tough to know what's really backed by science. Joining us today is Dr. Yale Varnado, a practicing physician at Johns Hopkins, to share some simple science-backed ways we can improve our health. Welcome to the show, Dr. V. How are you, my friend?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Dan. Great to see you.
All right, August is National Wellness Month. Why is it a good time for people to take a fresh look at their health?
Well, you said it already. It's a time to take a fresh look because we're entering into the the end of the year. It's flying by. And so what are some ways that we could be proactive and incorporate some, things that are going to help us move forward, make healthy decisions every day, things that we can do to build some healthy habits for the long term and for the future that are going to get us to the end, and really tease through a lot of that information that's not right.
And if somebody wants to make healthier choices, where's a good place to start?
Well, it can be overwhelming when you think about it. Like you said it, there's AI, there's podcasts, there's information everywhere. So something easy to do is just think about our personal hygiene as the first step. And so studies have shown we actually touch our noses more than 100 times a day. That's astounding. So keeping your nose clean is important, as is washing your hands. So I use the nose and nasal sanitizer antiseptic. It's an easy addition to your daily wellness routine. It helps kill 99.99% of germs. You can kind of think of it like hand sanitizer, but for your nose. And it's been used by more than 1,000 healthcare facilities across the U.S., safely used for over 20 years. And I love that it comes in a bottle for home use, or even that pop swab ampule that you can use on the go. And you can find it at nosen.com or Amazon.
So what are some other simple ways we can take better care of our bodies every day?
Taking care of your body doesn't have to be complicated, and that's why I love the Olay Super Routine. They are giving you an easy way to refresh your summer body care with their Super Serum Body Wash and their Super Serum Body Lotion. It's inspired by Olay's most awarded facial serum. That duo brings the brand's award-winning skincare technology to your shower and post-shower routine. And I love that it delivers 5 visible benefits: hydration, firming, smoothing, brightening, and evening skin tone. It's really a simple head-to-toe refresh for every skin type, and you can find it at all major retailers nationwide.
So what's another doctor-recommended wellness tip that people can start using right away?
Great question. Something that we do every night is sleep, but we need to make sure it's good quality sleep. And so the best way to do that is to create a cool, comfortable sleep environment. It'll make a real difference. Breezescape's cooling sheets made with BlendTech cooling technology is engineered directly into the fabric, and that's going to help regulate temperature, manage moisture for breathable comfort through the night. Pair that with the Breezescape cooling comforter for a complete cooling bedding solution. Now it's really designed to help you sleep more comfortably. And you can search Breezescape cooling sheets on Amazon today.
What's one wellness tip that you wish more people knew about?
Well, a lot of people are using GLP-1s and they're worried about, how do I get off of it? How do I make sure I don't gain the weight back? It's a real concern. And so I've been mentioning and talking to my patients about Metabiotics Weight Manager. It's a new postbiotic designed to protect your progress. Most of the gut health products rely on live bacteria, but Metabiotics uses a pasteurized postbiotic form of Akkermansia muciniphila mukti. That's the clinically studied form that supports weight maintenance, because honestly, Dan, keeping the weight off is the real win for everyone out there. You can use code AKM15 at shopmetabiotics.com for 15% off.
All right, so where can people go for more information?
Check out tipsontv.com for all the things we talked about today.
Dr. V, I really want to thank you for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me, Dan. Take care.
And that's going to do it for this week's episode of New Mexico Rising. Thanks so much for spending part of your day with us. Be sure to follow us on social media for even more fun between episodes, and join us again next week for another edition of New Mexico Rising.